3 in 10 families who report food insecurity say they have to make a choice every month between paying for food or paying for medical care. Todd Post is a researcher, writer, and editor with an organization that fights hunger.
When you don't have food, you're more vulnerable to illness and medical conditions. But it actually works the other way too. If you don't have, if you're sick, you can't work. You're probably not going to be able to work as much. You're less likely to be able to afford the food that you need. And it's really quite tragic when you think about it, how much of medicine says take with food, right?
Right. And who is most at risk here? Single moms?
Well, single moms, the families of single moms, children are the most at risk, particularly very young children. We know that from research that at a very young age, hunger can have lifelong consequences.
Let's talk about some of those consequences. What are they?
Well, everything from cognitive development to physical development. Children who don't get enough nutrients at a very young age can be stunted. Over the course of their life, they're likely to need more health care. We know through research that everything from their performance in school to their what they're going to earn as as wage earners to how long they're going to live even.
We're talking about some 15 million children living in homes struggling to get enough food. Are you surprised by those numbers? And how do we go about fixing it, Todd?
What can we do about it? Well, there's there are safety net programs. We have nutrition programs in which we can, make sure the families get enough. But that's really not the optimal solution. I mean, what we want is an economy that works for everybody, so that low-income families can feed themselves.
And the U.S., of course, is now encouraging pediatricians to screen for food insecurity. Teachers have already done that. Internationally, Todd, what infrastructure is in place for perhaps screening children, linking needy families with food?
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, the way we do it in this country, the way in which we survey families through the Census Bureau, has been adopted around the world, even in some very poor countries. So we do a good job of surveying, and other countries are learning from that. It varies depending on how wealthy the country is. Some countries, are able to develop a strong safety net. Some poor countries can't do that, but they try and they succeed through a variety of ways. One of which is through the healthcare system. Internationally, hunger and malnutrition is associated with at least half of child deaths. So when children enter the healthcare system, the healthcare professionals are expecting to see children who are dealing with malnutrition and food security issues. So they're prepared to see that.
And do you think pediatricians in the United States should have started doing this a long time ago? Why now?
Well, pediatricians knew that many of the children that they see were food insecure, struggling with hunger. What's happened recently is through healthcare reform, there's more incentive now to pay attention to these issues, what they call the social determinants of health. Food security, your access to healthy food is considered one of those social determinants, same as housing, same as whether or not you live in a violent neighborhood. These factors actually have more to do with health outcomes than whether or not you're, whatever the result of certain treatments.
Well, we're going to leave it at that. Todd Post, Bread for the World Institute. Thank you so much for your time,
Thank you very
sir.
much.